Hello, everybody, and welcome to number 28 of Podcast Beyond.
Beyond!
Oh, no.
Jeez,
Crap.
we're going to have to put a warning in there again.
That blew my headphones.
I'm deaf.
I am your host, editor-in-chief of the IGN PlayStation team, Chris Roper. Today with me is editors Greg Miller.
What up?
Jeff Haynes.
Woo woo.
And associate editor Ryan Clements.
Hey. What was that?
Hey. What? I don't know what the kind of intro that is. How's everybody doing today?
Awesome.
Good.
Are we ready for the latest episode of
Solid.
Podcast Beyond?
Yes,
I think so.
Beyond.
Let's ready to go.
Let's get started with Roper Report.
Time for some news.
I forgot my part in it. Sorry.
Drunken news.
All right, so let's see. CES was last week, and there wasn't a whole lot announced on the Sony side, but there were some PSP announcements. There were some
It was
PSP announcements.
huge. Sony had the best CES of anyone.
Yeah, so I think like we covered last week, we mentioned that PSP is getting Skype, but then it was also Sony also announced that they're releasing a 16 gig memory card, so you can put more movies and whatever else on there. And then also at some point in the future, details are very non-existent pretty much, but they're planning on releasing a keyboard for the system. But from what I see, it was like mid-2009, and they have no idea what it's going to look like or probably even how it's going to connect. Or
It's a hologram.
It's uses vision from your eyes, or I don't know what's happening. Yeah, so that's a whole lot of sort of news. Also announced the CES. Sorry, go ahead.
I think I'm going where you're going.
Also announced the CES is that you can now copy Blu-ray movies.
It's over.
You can
We
copy
won, everybody.
Bluray wins. So okay.
Checkmate.
So here's the deal.
Skynet is dead, people.
So here's the deal.
Checkmate.
You can put a Blu-ray movie into your PS3 and then copy that film to your PSP, and then watch it on the go.
Zion, it's over.
That's pretty cool.
That's the awesome news.
That's pretty
Tail.
awesome. Let's see. GT Mobile may have officially been canceled, which I'll come to my take on this in a second. But what we had here was somebody in the office got a call from GameStop or EB or whatever it is now, and said that his pre-order for Gran Turismo Mobile has been disqualified or whatever you want to say because the game has been canceled, which is the first we've heard of that game in, I don't know, a year or two.
Yeah, long time.
Yeah, a long time. My take on this, and this is what I've said before, is that if they bring Gran Turismo to the PSP, which I think they still will eventually, it's going to be Gran Turismo 5. It's not going to be 4 like they were doing before. So for them to cancel the existing game would be, pretty much irrelevant. I completely expected it anyway.
What about all the people who bought a PSP just for that reason, though?
Well, then they're screwed. Let's see. Moving on. Konami announced that Metal Gear Solid 4 is almost done.
Woo!
It's in finishing stages. Apparently, a lot of the people on the team, their work is done, so they can go home and party. And they're squashing bugs and getting it tight and, yeah, doing all that kind of stuff. That's good. And then, finally...
Metal Gear.
Finally,
Interrupting the Roper Report.
it was announced this past week through an issue of a magazine that Resistance 2 is coming.
Nice.
No big surprise to anybody, but that's been announced. We have
ZOMG.
8-player online co-op, something like 60-player online competitive.
Which is insane.
The game takes place largely in the United States this time.
Which will be pretty neat.
Yeah, Greg, you know all the details on it. Anything else that I'm missing? Any huge
That's the
stuff?
really big stuff that I'm excited about. 8-player co-op, Jeff. That means you, me,
that's
and
it.
like 7 other people can play
6 other
together.
people.
6.
No, 7.
No, it's 6 people.
Carry
You
the one.
Okay.
Me and Jeff are playing.
But when you
I'm
divide,
working the joystick. Jeff's working the face buttons.
Oh, there you go. Okay, I
okay,
got it.
yeah.
So you divide by 2, and then you
Yeah.
have. Okay, I got it. So that's all the news for the week. Let's see. Moving on down our list of things to read off here. Greg, you know what time it is?
Yeah.
Time for you to read some stuff.
Woo! It's the official IGN list of upcoming PlayStation software on all 3 platforms by the IGN editors.
Yes.
That, of course, took longer to read than the list will. PS3, nothing. PS2, nothing. PSP, flat out, head on. See you next week!
Yeah.
Now let's go to something we like to call Topic of the Week.
Topic of the week.
Toe.
This week's topic is going to be on digital distribution.
Thanks to the aggression, we opened it up for suggestions online.
go.
He said, hey, what about downloading stuff, eh?
What about that?
What's that mean? The future, the present, where do you think it'll ever replace Blu-rays and game DVD boxes stuff?
Well, okay, so now here's the thing: is
Inhumans.
lots of people, including Sony, I believe, have said that the next-gen consoles, they kind of predict that there would not be any sort of media format in there, which could totally happen. Although if Blu-ray completely takes off like it will, then I think they're still going to use that. But people are saying they're not going to use disk drives and that you'll just download all your content, and that makes a whole lot of sense given that bandwidths are getting massive. I know at CES, Comcast announced they're going to have 100 megabit cable connections ready to go at some point, like later this year or next year or something like that. So, I mean, broadband's getting to the point where you have absolutely crazy download speeds. Here's what's interesting, though.
Oh, here we go.
So everybody's saying that this is going to be the way it's going to go, and I believe it. I think that, downloading games and having it all, I mean, music has done that with iTunes and all that kind of stuff, so, it makes sense for games. Makes it easier in a lot of ways. You're seeing it already with things like Steam and direct to drive, whatever our service is called. And but here's the interesting part. There was a console that was never quite came out of the market that everybody hated that was going to strive solely on downloadable content, and everybody thought it was the worst idea of all time. Can anybody name this console?
Will that be the Phantom?
That is the Phantom. Maybe those guys were onto something.
But ahead of their time.
Maybe.
They were ahead of their time, but also used car salesmen. So
although technically, aren't they still in development of that damn console?
No, now I think all they're making now is the keyboard.
board?
Yeah, the lap board, which is awesome. But who knows? I mean, that's a piece of plastic. I don't know why that's not on the market yet. I mean, Logitech could just rip it off and release it. It'd be awesome.
Definitely.
So let's move on with somebody else's thoughts on distribution.
I don't think you'll see it next console cycle as the sole format. I think you'll still have disk drives, or maybe we'll go back to cartridges. I miss cartridges. They were awesome.
Are you serious?
The disc is
I
in
don't
the
think I'll see
cartridge.
cartridges, but I don't think you'll see it take off to that extent to where you'll have this huge leap where next year already, or whatever, not next year, but next console cycle it'll be. I mean, as big as GameStop is right now and stuff like that, and I think they probably have not a lot of say in the matter, but I mean definitely some pull to say, well, I don't think you should do that, blah, blah, blah kind of thing.
So here's my thing. I'm in agreement that they're not going to drop it entirely. I don't think that's going to be true because you're going to have too many people that don't have those internet connections and that want that disc. But I think that every game will come out digitally and you'll be able to buy it same day, and it'd be kind of cool if they had like the Steam sort of preloading thing happening. But I think they're going to coexist basically, and
I think
digital stuff will start taking
exactly.
over.
It'll probably be like eventually. I don't see a game store ever going away. Really, it'll drop off. I would think like CDs have, where you still have CD stores, where it's like more of an enthusiast thing where they go and dig through old stuff.
Now, more than any other publisher or whatever you want to call them, one of the big three, Sony's doing this more now than either Nintendo or Microsoft, offering up full downloadable games via that. And we're not just talking about like the arcade type stuff, but we're talking Warhawk is a downloadable game. SOCOM is going to be downloadable.
Yeah.
Second filter, the Combat Ops is the only way to get it is download it.
Yeah. Gran Turismo Prologue in Japan at least is download/buy in the store. So that's a pretty big. I mean, they're testing the waters, and it seems to be. I mean, I don't have solid numbers in front of me on exactly how many store sales of Warhawk versus the downloadable stuff. I don't know that Sony's actually releasing those numbers, but regardless, I mean, it seems to be working pretty well for them.
Well, I think that, again, I don't think it'll be the next cycle of consoles. I think primarily because there is a certain group of people that will always want it, especially if something happens. I mean, part of the biggest problem with fully downloadable distribution of games is that hard drives fail. You run out of space. Depending upon whatever happens, you could possibly max out your limit of downloading something, and especially if you happen to have a system or friends or little brothers or whatever, you can find that completely blown out, and any number of scenarios could ensue. So I think until they actually wind up locking that one down, or storage gets to be at such a premium where it makes it so much easier to actually just store it fully on a hard drive. Even with the cable, it's not necessarily going to be that good. I mean, unless the next PS4 comes with maybe a terabyte of storage or something.
Ooh.
Or something insane where everything that you really worry about as far as digital distribution, you're not going to go okay, I bought this system, but now I have to upgrade that with a new hard drive because I just ran out of space because I've got all these HD movies and all these Blu-ray things I'm copying over to the PSP, all this other stuff. I think that safety net of always having that physical hardware is a plus. But I think that what you might find is that a lot more games will come out digitally, but there might be things like the collector's edition you can only get in stores, or something that is an extra, or the art books and all the other stuff that you usually find with collector editions being sold solely in the mom and pop or mortar and brick stores, so that there's still they still exist, because they probably still will exist for a while. But I think that'll be an incentive thing, and then that way the industry can kind of track that to cut down on the whole resell games back and them not seeing profits on that side of the margin.
Yeah. See, now there's also two wrinkles, I guess, in this whole thing. That number one is the computer industry seems to be moving towards solid-state drives, which is just they're just flash-based drives. And the bonus to these is if you have them in like a portable device or whatever, they can't get screwed up. If you're like, shaking your laptop while you're checking your email or whatever, that's fine. They're also much faster to read from than standard like platter-based hard drives. But the downside right now is that you're spending a lot of money for way less space than you get on a platter drive, which is cool. The tech is awesome, but where if the industry makes an entire shift over these things, by in 4 or 5 years when the next set of consoles start coming out, then is that going to kind of screw it up where drives are? People are no longer going to create have like terabyte platter-based drives. But then the positive to this is if all games are downloaded, and that means they're installed on hard drives, which you could do via disk, I guess, also. But now you have the fastest loading mechanic. So you've gotten, since you don't have a disk access for Blu-ray or DVD or whatever it's going to be next time, then load times hopefully would be much faster. We're seeing that with games like Devil May Cry and other games, Unreal Tournament, things you can install.
Right.
So that would be a pretty big bonus, I think.
Well, definitely. I mean, if you can cut down or almost virtually eliminate load times, where it's pretty much you turn it on and it's ready to go, and as long as you've got the controller in your hand, you can play without worrying about I have to sit here and wait for however many seconds. That's a huge plus. I think that the storage space is going to be a big thing, especially because just thinking about stuff around the office. If we're capturing like a minute's worth of high def video, that's a gig 1.2 gigs of space or whatever for like a minute's worth of content. So I think depending upon what exactly you have in HD, that's where you're going to have the huge barrier is how do you get all this HD lossless like non-compressed content without completely maxing out your hard drive and taking up the entire thing with one game, maybe two.
Well, the games won't be uncompressed. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, right, but I mean, I'm just talking about the video. If you're using it for all your video, all these other things plus
that's
games,
all still going to be compressed.
Then you're running out of a ton of space.
Yeah, I mean, you do need a ton of storage space. Ryan, you haven't said anything.
Yeah,
say something.
Like usual.
Earn your pay.
I think I will. I think everything that's been said so far is really good. I still think you mentioned that the music industry has seen, stuff like iTunes and downloadable stuff before, but as you guys have mentioned, I'm surprised at how many music stores and CD stores there still are. And that's especially considering that music is so easy to get now online and through stuff like iTunes. Yet it seems to me like CDs are still selling really well. Have you guys seen numbers about that or about
I know
CD
sales are down 20% over last year or something like that. But I'll tell you what is I own a ton of downloadable content for games and whatever. I bought Half-Life 2 through Steam when that first came out, and I bought all these Xbox Live Arcade games, all these PlayStation Network titles. But my music, I always buy the CDs. I never download music online, and I don't know what the difference to me between that is because music is so cheap compared to a game. But I always buy all my music, on the CD.
But is part of that because depending upon how the MP3 or the Wave or whatever, even the iTunes format is, you're worried about the compression and it not sounding as clear as a CD, or is it because you'd rather have the physical media of the CD itself?
All of the above. Yeah,
so
that's kind of
my next point is that there's people, including myself, and I guess including you too, who like to have a shelf or a library of discs or boxes that they can categorize and kind of have as a collection, as opposed to just having everything in a single piece of hardware.
Yeah, but I tell you, when you have to move, that stuff sucks.
Yeah,
it does.
That's true. I think the only other issue that we didn't talk about as much is that there's kind of a weird sort of proportional relationship between the storage capacity of a disc, like the Blu-ray, for example, and the bandwidth and the possibility of the speed of stuff they can download, because I think it depends on how much each of those two technologies progress, because the Blu-ray now holds so much stuff, so much data, and I'm wondering how efficient our downloading speeds and bandwidth is going to get, and will they climb at the same rate, making it so that you can always still have more stuff on a disc than download, or will downloading just get so fast that you don't even have to worry about having it on a disc anymore? I feel like that's one factor you have to take into consideration about how those two technologies interact.
Well, I think what Chris said about Comcast increasing their bandwidth pipe from 10 to 100 is going to be a huge step. Now they're going to roll that out in the what is it, New England first or something like that?
Something like that. Yeah.
And then it's going to slowly proliferate out to the rest of the country, just like they did with their TiVo service. So I think it's personally going to be a whole thing of whether or not you can actually get all of that back into homes and
is New
get
England
that
a
service.
hotbed of eating bandwidth?
What if like
I don't know, but apparently they're the test bed for Comcast.
Need
at
my
least.
socks, school.
What-
I can't do an accent. I'm sorry.
what if like if Blu-ray does really well, which we seem to think that it does.
Woo, we win!
Oh man. Thank you. Right?
Confetti falling.
What if Sony comes out with like the next evolution of their Blu-ray technology and it can store like twice, 3 times, 4 times the amount of stuff? Then
100 times.
100 times.
It's a hardware.
Yeah,
What? God.
it's probably going to wind up happening. I mean, like, they're.
Well, it's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, they push the technology for anything that's storage like capacity.
Well, so here's the thing:
constantly,
is on the horizon, I saw some stuff about this morning, but there's UHDV coming, ultra high definition video, which
Are
is
you serious?
It's 7,000 and change by 4,000 and change pixels. And so in order to run the video right now, you need like a 23 gigabit per second video stream. So it's an incredible amount of hardware. They can't even record video with this yet because
I feel like that would like burn your eyes if you're looking at the screen.
Would you need that Panasonic 150-inch plasma to be able to watch it?
I think so. So if assuming that everybody moves this, you're going to need an incredible amount of storage space for movies.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean that is the good question. Is although network speeds are getting super fast, if you have movies that are, even if that's compressed 23 times and they're 1 gigabit a second video files, you can't. I mean, downloading those things would take forever, but you're going to want those on disc just so you can play them instantly. So.
Yeah. But the other part of that too is like even when you get to something that is that sharp, I mean, like, you might as well go to like 3D or something else. I mean, like, how clear of a signal can you get on a monitor or something else to actually take advantage?
I read reports on the first test of that like a year or two ago that said it was so crystal clear that people were getting sick in the audience because it looked real. And
This is too real. Freaking out.
That's what I was gonna say.
All right.
Oh man.
So let's on
insane.
that note of vomiting and mouthful explosions, whatever you want to call it. Let's move on to our guest speaker, who's back for the second time, our most hated person ever to be here on Podcast Beyond. Here he is, everyone. Blognack is back.
CES.
Blognack.
Yes,
Hey.
thank you all. I'm back from CES. It was a lovely time in Vegas. Anyway, today and later on this week on the podcast and the PlayStation blog, there will be a Twisted Metal update. As a matter of fact, that was already live on the PlayStation blog.
Yes, it was Blognack.
So you're predicting the past.
Blognet predicts all, my friend, Mr. Miller. Anyway, there will also be some possible Warhawk news, possible updates, possible downloads. We're not going to say exactly what yet, but it could be coming. Anyway,
Blognack, you're such a tease.
that's right, I am Ryan. There will also be a Petapon update coming this Friday. Get your rhythm on for the weekend. As well, this is a big one. Starting next week, there will be regular, and I mean weekly, regular updates on spring releases coming to the PlayStation blog of things that you will be interested in. There you go.
Is that a guarantee?
That is a
If
guarantee,
I'm not
my
interested in one of those things that's coming, can we shoot you?
friend. Shoot Ryan.
No, okay.
Shoot Blognack, don't shoot Jeff.
That was something.
Yeah, I'm gonna duck.
Let's move on to a much more interesting topic. Woo! Mailbag.
Read mail. Mail for mail. What the hell? You're not even bringing your A game anymore,
Our
man.
title
That was a good one.
sequence
I'm just
has
screaming.
degraded so far.
I'm on B game today. I'm doing all right.
B game?
Yeah, B game.
You're just sliding down as the weeks
Better than
progress.
C game. I think that Blognack is Z game.
Yeah.
All right.
I think Blognack is
Z
Z
is
game.
so low, it's starting to sound high again, like Z game. I'm back.
The wraparound sword. All right, let's see. Jurgra, you told me how to pronounce it. Oh, whatever his name is. Anyway, he says that Prototype and Infamous look and sound very similar. Which do you think will be the better game, and which are we most excited about? I'll tell you what. The only thing that we've seen of Infamous, if I can say that correctly, so far has been the trailer that was shown last year, and so we know very little else about that, except that it is, of course, being created by Sucker Punch, who
Sucker Punch.
I'm pretty big fans of Sucker Punch. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to Infamous, but I mean, I don't really know anything about it besides that. So I mean, we can't really answer about this question, but I mean, yeah, they do look and sound very similar.
I confuse them a lot. I've noticed when
the
I'll
premise
talk to
seems
somebody
pretty
about that.
similar.
Yeah, so hopefully both will be good. Depot's Sixian wants to know, why does Val Kilmer sound so awful trying to sing Neil Young songs? He's awful. Thoughts?
I haven't heard Val Kilmer sing a Neil Young song.
I don't know what that
I don't even
relates to.
know.
Let's go to Johnny Blades, who says,
Johnny Blades.
what is your opinion on board members stalking editors? Greg, why don't you answer this one?
As long as my stalkers are the nice kind of stalkers. None of them have actually come at me. You know, I mean, they create their little, websites that honor me and stuff, and that's kind of creepy, but it's nice.
And you're the president of some studio in Spain or something,
yeah,
right? In
first
some
grade class president-elect in Spain, and then I got Cheez-Its for Christmas. But as long as they don't come to the office or to my house, I'm fine with it. My mom gets very worried about it. She reads the blog, and she's always very concerned about what's happening with these fans.
IGN would like to take
Maybe we
a
should
special
get you
note
some Kevlar jackets.
Yep,
that
some
there
muscle.
are 3 other editors on the PlayStation
Fran
team.
walks around with me a lot. He
Oh,
takes
great! You're gonna use Fran as a shield.
Yeah.
He's
His
short.
stalkers will get him first.
He's shorter than you.
Fran's a distraction
Yeah,
tactic.
Fran's a distraction.
Sony MS guy says, what is the PS3 game that is going to finally allow the PS3 to beat the Wii in monthly sales in Japan?
Mario
Same question
Galaxy
goes.
Substance.
Yeah, Mario Galaxy Substance. I mean, I gotta say Metal Gear, but Metal
be
Gear
awesome.
and or Gran Turismo, whichever
Ooh.
Yeah.
whichever comes out first. But
Lots of Metal Gear sound effects coming out of Ryan tonight. I like it.
yeah.
I don't
Crazy.
know. That's just the.
I think you
isn't that
borrowed
the
Mark
thing?
Ryan's phone.
I'm gonna skip that one. Let's see. Oh wait, where's that other one that I was on here? There was one that we wanted to. Oh, I don't see that. Anyway, Fish, I guess, says this may have already have been answered, but does Burnout Paradise support custom soundtracks? I'll tell you what. From playing the final game, I actually tried to find custom soundtracks, and I didn't spend a whole lot of time doing it. Maybe there's some kind of secret menu, but I could not do it. I could only select from songs that were in the game, which there's like 50 or something, including special tracks from Burnout 1 and 2.
Ooh.
Which I'm big fans of. Good old Criterion in-house stuff from back in the day before everything was licensed from EA Tracks.
Hey, while I'm thinking of it, today at the EIC meeting, they were talking about that they could use a copy of Burnout on 360 and PS3 for Insider for head-to-head.
Sure.
All right.
Okay, good.
Now it's on the record. I've done my part. I wash my hands of this.
Clintar wants to know, where is home? It's online.
Where is home?
Go
though,
to
huh?
home.
When is that coming out?
That's coming out eventually.
Sometime.
Come
Yes.
on.
Forgotten Future says, with GDC coming up, do you think, or do we find it odd that we'd be talking about the same games and services as last year?
I do.
Yes and no. I mean, okay, so clearly we're going to be talking about Home again, assuming that that's not out by the time GDC is in March, so assuming it's not.
No, it's
GDC's February.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It's
They moved it
right
up.
on top of it.
That's right. So so we'll definitely be talking about Home. We're going to talk about things
Little
like
Big Planet. I mean, that
Little
was,
Big Planet will be there.
all their presentation last
You know, a
year.
lot of that. Or maybe we'll see some new Killzone stuff that might hold to E3. But anyway,
But it's not that much of a surprise because, like, they basically did the same thing with, like, MotorStorm and everything when they announced it at E3 before, and then it was
Yeah.
a long time, and then it was like, hey, here's MotorStorm again. And it's like,
yeah.
well,
so
great.
So here's the thing: is a lot of these games we're going to be seeing. I mean, we've seen Little Big Planet a billion times since it was announced at last GDC. But things like Home, hopefully they'll be showing like the final, maybe not final, but fully feature functional version of it. Maybe they'll say, hey, it's coming out, as soon as the thing starts, which would be nice. But and then we don't know what Sony's going to announce. There could be new stuff they could be talking about. So, that could be pretty cool.
Maybe something about the public beta of Little Big Planet.
Maybe so. We will find
Do
out.
you guys
Maybe
hear?
they'll
Right.
capitalize on how much they're face-crushing HD DVD.
Lol. Jeff Ramsaroop says, how do you think Sony will handle Killzone 2 and Resistance 2? It seems like they're going to be finished around the same time, but it wouldn't be best for either game to be released around the same time, I guess, as this question's kind of written around in a loop. But the question is, what's Sony going to do if they release Killzone 2 and Resistance 2 at the same time? I don't think it's going to happen.
No. One of them will get delayed, pushed back, something
Yeah,
held up.
they'll get moved around. So there's a couple months of separation between the two. Like you might see Killzone in September and Resistance in November or something. I mean, those are all those aren't official dates, but I mean you'll probably see something like that.
Do we really think?
Go ahead. No, you go.
I was
Please
just going to say, do we really think... Oh, thank you. Do we really think Resistance 2 is going to come that soon, though? Because,
That's what they say.
Follow A.
Yeah.
I mean,
No.
Insomniac just finished Future.
No, but
just
remember
a
it's
little
two
while
different
ago.
teams though.
Yeah.
They have two teams
yeah.
working on these guys. And remember, Insomniac is an extremely fast studio. You look at some of these first party guys that Sony has under, or first party published stuff. That guys like Naughty Dog and Insomniac and all these guys turn around games super fast. So yeah,
I just don't want them to rush anything.
What do you think? I mean, the announcement of Resistance and everything that goes on in there. Where does that leave you guys with Killzone 2 hype? I mean, I'm way more excited now for Resistance than Killzone 2, and I've played Killzone 2.
I mean, I'm kind of equal in both of them.
Really?
I mean, Killzone 2 just looks phenomenal, and so I want to see that.
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, Killzone 2 is the one that you really have a feeling that that's going to capitalize on a lot of the stuff that Sony's been talking about. But who wouldn't love Resistance? I mean, like that game's awesome. So if you even see that, it's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah, we'll see it. I'm sure that we will see it. Let's see. That's the one I just read, and we're going to skip past this one. And Depot Sixion has a second question for this week. Says, Greg, could you please update us on the whole cake in Mr. Ahern's desk? Has it lasted past the vacation break? Boy, I sure hope so.
Sorry. Yes, the update is not a good one. We have bad news. The fact of the matter is, Nate is very lazy. I assume I've not had a conversation with Nate about this. Somehow he got tipped off to this cake in his desk. As readers remember, I had hidden the Sony birthday cake in Nate Ahern's desk, and it went for over a month of him not knowing. And apparently, I started blabbing too much about it, even though every listener on GameScoop and Podcast Beyond, pinky swore not to tell him. Someone tipped him off, and I went over there after the break to check on said cake, and the cake was gone, and I was very depressed.
He got an anonymous call.
Yeah, he did get a call on his cell phone, too. Somebody got his number off Facebook to call him and tell him about the cake as well. But by this time, the jig was already up, I heard.
The cake was a lie.
I went back to my desk. This is the morning I checked. No cake. Very sad. I went back to my desk. Nate was on vacation, so I thought we'd have a conversation when he came back. But later that day, Hillary walks up to me with a box and says, I found your cake. And I said, really? And he opens up this big cardboard box that had the cake in it. I was like, what the hell? And he says, I don't know. And he gives me the box, and I look, and there's a stamp on top of it, a sticker that has this package to be delivered to me. And so I got livid. I was livid. I mean, this was a huge box. It was way bigger than anything I had received, meaning that someone not only ruined the cake joke, but took one of my cool toys or something that I could have gotten from a company. So I was very mad and ready to go on the warpath when I touched the sticker and peeled it back and found that it was a Chris Roper package. Someone was preparing to re-prank me with the cake. They had gotten a box. They had gone to the trouble of printing off a very realistic-looking shipping label, taped it to the box, put the cake in the box. All they literally had to do at this moment was tape the box closed and put it up in the reception area where we get our packages, and prank is done. But they put the cake in the box, shut the box, and got tired and stopped.
Didn't cut a hole in the box?
So the box...
I was just going to say.
The box sat at Nate's desk until it was delivered to me by Hillary, but he did not deliver it and said, here's package. He said, here's your cake. So somewhere along the line, the prank was ruined, but then made funnier by the fact that whoever tried to prank me was lazy.
It's a cake in a box.
It's a cake in a box.
Oh, boy.
Stephen O1683 wants to know, are there any plans to get us some more Resistance 2 information? I do believe that we plan on covering that game at some point in the future.
Maybe we won't. Maybe we'll skip it.
We got a bunch of emails about Devil May Cry 4. People want to know more specifically about the load times between the PS3 and 360 game. Jeff went and did some testing on this. Do keep in mind, though, that this is... it's not like the retail copy of the disc.
Right.
So,
we basically put both of them side by side and did a timing situation on the PS3 and 360, primarily between cinematics and also gameplay starts. And what we were finding was that a lot of the cinematics seem to have a 3 times, shorter on the PS3 by at least 3 times. For instance, from the initial mission select to the opening of the cinematic, it was 5.26 seconds on the PS3 versus 16.42 seconds on the 360.
Now, I want to know here's my problem though: is are your reaction times within 1/100th of a second accurate? Because it could be 5.27 or 5.25 instead of 5.26. I think that this was not done quite accurately enough.
Was
this underwater?
Yes, it was. we can try it again, but I also know that some of them, especially when we got into some of the gameplay sections, it was pretty much between 0.3 of a second. I mean, the PS3 version might have been 0.80 versus the 360, which was 1.1 seconds or whatever. So there was a little bit of a mild variation on some of those, but some of the other cinematics, some of the other gameplay times were at least 3 times longer on the 360 than the PS3. The longest one was 19.37 seconds for the 360 versus 6.24. So it's one of those things that the PS3, because of the install, a lot shorter on the PS3 as opposed to the 360, especially for cinematics.
Now, overall, does Devil May Cry load faster or slower than Ghostbusters?
You know, I think I'm going to have to refer that to Egon when he comes in to give us the preview of Ghostbusters.
Good.
I hope to God Egon is better than Blognack. All right, now for our last...
I don't know. We'll have to ask Greg on that one.
For our last question of the week, Carlos writes in and says, Beyond!
Beyond!
Hey, I'm 15 and my parents won't let me buy M-rated games. I have an 18-year-old sister, but she won't buy me games.
Damn her.
The problem is that the industry has forgotten about the teens and kids who can't buy mature games. I know it's smart, but they could gain more people if they sold to the younger audiences. What is your opinion with OPPINON? Op and on.
I thought you were saying OPP something
no,
else.
that
It's
was
just like,
fine.
whoa.
What's your opinion, Chris Rober, editor-in-chief?
Mature games are meant to be bought by adults, which
By
is why
mature
kids
people.
cannot buy them.
I used to be just like Carlos, pissed off about this M rating, and I said, when I get old, I'm going to fight against it, and now I don't care. No, I agree that it should be mature. It's mature for a reason. It'll help. Carlos, in the long run, it will make sure that there's a video game industry for you to play when you're old enough to play.
Yeah, and
because if we eliminate the M and then you have to stop doing adult-themed games, you're going to lose adults, and then we're going to go degrade back to 8 bits.
It's not even that as much as
all
it
the
is
way
like,
back.
you know, if we eroded the entire mature barrier between like teenagers, then the government would step in. All the content that would actually be interesting for us to play or mature enough for mature audiences to play would completely be either restricted or eliminated altogether. Artistic freedom will go down the toilet. Things just wouldn't work.
Now, here's my question for Carlos. Is he says that his mom won't buy him a game and his sister won't buy him a game. Now, is he talking about he gives them cash and he just wants them to walk into the store and pick it up for them? Or is he saying that, hey, sister, can you go to GameStop for me? And by the way, can I borrow $60?
Right.
Because if that's true, then you need to get a job, go mow some lawns or something.
Exactly.
Maybe
Go mow some lawns.
yeah.
But if it's
Snap,
but
Carlos
that's
got beyond.
but that's a good point though, because I mean it could be like, hey, I've got the money. Will you just buy this for me? And they say no. Versus, can I borrow it and can you buy me this
I
other
could see
game
mom
too?
being against the M and then sister just not wanting to go against mom.
Sister's lazy.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
I was
Sister.
actually at an EB, and I got to, or a GameStop, whatever. I was at an EB in my head, and I got to see a kid completely get shut down by a GameStop employee. He was there with his like aunt or somebody, and he was trying to pick up Liberty City Stories on PSP, and he couldn't have been more than 10, and he wanted to pick up this game, and he handed it to his aunt, and his aunt went up there with it, and he was with her. I mean, and the guy's like, "All right, you sure it's an M-rated game? Are you sure? You know?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, it's fine. Don't worry, I understand." She's like, "You're okay for an M-rated game?" He's like, "Yeah, no problem." And the GameStop employee's like, "All right, you know, we just have to check. You know, there's prostitutes getting beaten to death in this, and drug running missions." And she's like, "Wait, what's in this?" And he's like, "Oh, you know, yeah, you run around, you can have sex with these hookers and then kill them and take the money back." She's like, "I didn't know that was in there. You go pick out another game." And he was like, "Oh, like the kid was there. The adult had said yes, and then he shut him down all the same."
Oh, man.
You can beat up prostitutes.
Yeah, I saw one similar where like a kid tried to get his mom to buy Gears of War. She had no idea.
Oh, yeah.
And he brings it up, and the guy goes, "Well, you do realize that this is a mature game." And she's like, "It's what?" And he just like put it back down, gave it back to him, grabbed the kid, and pulled him out
No
of the store. It was
way,
just
really?
like, oh, that's a grounding for you right there.
You know what it's time for?
No.
Pick of the week.
Wow.
Well, there's-
Speakers are blowing once again.
There is
There's only
one
one game.
option.
There's
So
only one
by
game
default,
coming out.
it's flat out, head on. Roper, you're reviewing that, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Have you gotten a copy yet?
No, I have not.
Okay.
Please send me the game.
all of you listeners, please send.
Yeah, I think I might have to go to the store and buy that one. Let's go around the room and see what everybody's doing.
Around the room. La, la,
Is
la,
that the
la,
theme?
la, 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 around
Whatever.
the room.
What the?
Ryan, let's start with you.
What is going on?
Right now, I'm going to be reviewing Snake Ball and maybe Yu-Gi-Oh! The Beginning of Destiny very
Amazing.
soon. Look for those very soon. And I am playing Eternal Sonata on the 360.
Whoa,
Eternal Sonata.
that song's forever. Craig, what do you got?
I am reviewing Dance Dance Revolution Disney Channel Edition today.
Yes.
Warriors of the Lost Empire sometime this week. There's something else floating in the ether that I need to do too.
The ether.
I am playing Call of Duty 4
Good
right now,
news,
trying to finish off
everyone.
the single player thing after I finished off Resident Evil this past weekend.
Jeff?
I've got Warhawk Omega Dawn, the expansion pack. That should be coming probably today. I'm also going to be doing Ape Quest, the PSP RPG, I guess, which should be probably a little bit later on this week. Play-wise, I believe I'm just messing around with things like World in Conflict and The Witcher.
As just mentioned, I will be reviewing Flat Out Head On soon, but
Send it to him.
even bigger racing game that
Send
I will
me
be
the
reviewing
game.
on Wednesday is Burnout Paradise.
Ooh, Nelly. We're all very excited. I
Yeah.
am. And that means you are.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff.
Burnout is very fast. Find out what I think about it on Wednesday.
Indeed.
Editor beatdown. Ryan, you got to do that intro again, or like the voice or whatever
Yes.
you did.
Whatever
I was
that was.
planning on it already.
All right, do it.
Alright, you know we're all back for the editor beatdown, and this time it's gonna be Warhawk, Omega Dawn, at 6:30 on Thursday. And I don't want to hear any of that, oh, I only want to play COD4. No, you're playing Warhawk. You either go big or you go home.
Every time we play one of these things, the kids are like, "Oh, I want to play COD4. Why are we playing COD?" You are jerks.
But we are working on it.
All right.
We're going to eventually play COD4, just not this week.
Wait, probably. Maybe.
So I'm looking at my sheet here.
Yeah.
Telling me what parts of the show that we're doing.
Uh-huh.
We're at the end.
No way.
It
Wow.
says in parentheses song.
Oh, yeah.
I
Parentheses.
think that means that we're at the very end of the show, and then it's time for a little tune to
That is
send us home.
incredible.
I only wish it was sending us home. Sending us back to our desk to do some more work.
Yay,
Yeah.
work. Jeff, take it away.
Well, oh no, I think I'm dead.
Oh, now I can hear you.
Oh, I'm back.
You're in.
Well,
Oh, I died.
I
All
died
right,
and I
bye.
came back. That's right. I'm that strong. Anyway, we've been messing around here in the office for a little bit, and I think we came on a little internet classic that we're going to remake in the Podcast Beyond way. Sing along if you know it. I'm sure you all do.
Oh, God.
Ready? Podcast Beyond. We cover everything that is Sony Podcast Beyond. Sit right down and listen once for me, Podcast Beyond. Roper covers all the breaking news, Podcast Beyond.
Do the keyboard.
Topic of the week, we give our views, Podcast Beyond. Greg might sing or comment on the mail, Podcast Beyond. Pick of the week gives games a pass or fail, Podcast Beyond. I may rant or curse or talk a lot, Podcast Beyond.
This goes for a
In
while.
the beatdown, editors get shot, Podcast Beyond.
All right, we're gonna
Maybe
close out this
we'll
one.
try
I don't know
to
how-
speak now,
This
Podcast
one's gonna go on for like 3
Beyond.
hours. All right,
Maybe
Abby,
not.
we will.
He's got a
We'll see you
silent
next
vowel.
week.
Podcast Beyond.
Peace out.
Oh, adios.
Beyond.
Bye, everybody.
He's moving his face away to breathe.
Podcast Beyond.